In this video, we'll look at what's involved with flying with a firearm inside the United States, or should you want to travel to Canada, what's involved with crossing the border with a rifle or shotgun for that matter. In a second video, we'll expand and take a look at international sites and look at 3 popular destinations: South Africa, New Zealand, and Argentina, and break down what's involved there. But first, let's start with domestic travel within the United States and Canada. So flying with a rifle within the United States really isn't that involved. You're going to need a lockable gun case, and you do not need TSA approved locks. You can use, just like I use, these master locks are fine. But I prefer not to travel with TSA locks because everybody can open them and you're not required to have them. The second thing is it's not required, but I always fly with my bolt removed. So it's still in the case, but it's pulled from the rifle, and I have a cutout for the foam, and I drop it in. And again, it's not required, but it does help when it goes through X-ray that you don't have the bolt in there. And I've never had any issue with my rifle going through TSA for inspection after I drop it off at the ticket counter. So best practice is go ahead and pull the bolt. So that way it's very easy for someone when they're looking on the X-ray to see that the gun is unloaded, the rifle's unloaded. Now, within the United States, traveling with suppressors has never been an issue for me. There are some states that do not allow possession of suppressors or hunting with suppressors. So check the regulations, fairly easy to Google it. Make sure that the state that you're traveling to allows suppressors for hunting. And then I carry my paperwork inside my gun case for my suppressor. Never had to use it, but again, best practice to have your suppressor paperwork. And for instance, when we fly to Texas to hunt whitetails, we hunt with our suppressors, never had an issue. And I just put it inside of the gun case in the foam as well. As far as ammo traveling within the United States, it needs to be separate from your rifle, so you cannot store it in your rifle case. It needs to be in your luggage, and you want to keep it in the manufacturer's case. So whether that's a cardboard box like this Federal ammunition, or a plastic box, they also do make for reloaders small cases that you can put your ammo in. But just make sure it's in your luggage, separated from your rifle, and in a box, some sort of box that keeps it from floating around inside the case. Now, check-in time. So this one's pretty important. When I always want to allow at least 2 hours, possibly 3 hours between check-in and my plane taking off. Now, why is that? If you check in too close to the time that your plane leaves, once your gun case is inspected at the ticket counter, and it's going to go downstairs, depending on your airport, but it's going to go through TSA, and it's typically X-rayed or inspected. So if there is an issue, I always keep a luggage tag on my rifle case with my telephone number on it. And in one case, when I was flying with a shotgun, TSA actually had to call and was able to reach me on my cell phone, and we got the gun case opened up pretty quickly, and it was never an issue. But allowing 2 to 3 hours just gives you enough buffer to make sure that there are not any issues at TSA, and it makes it on your plane. Now, the last thing that I do when I'm flying domestically is, if at all possible, I want to make sure I stay on the same airline, and I try to have at least 1.5 hours to 2 hours for transfer time. So in between flights is a minimum of 1.5 hours, but if I can, more than 2 hours, just to allow for delays to make sure that rifle transfers to the next flight and gets it to its destination. So the last thing you need to be aware of if you go outside the United States is you're going to need a customs form 4457. Now, this is just a declaration of personal effects for taking abroad. So what you do is you just fill it out and you take it to your local customs office. You can Google it. There's typically one at the airport, depending on where you live. But you're going to take it there. You're going to take your rifle or your shotgun. They're going to verify that the serial number that you and description that you've put in the box matches your rifle, and then they will sign it and give it back to you. Now, what I do is if I'm flying with 2 rifles or 2 shotguns, I always do 2 pieces of paper with both rifles or both shotguns on it, and then I put one copy in each case. That way, if for some reason the paperwork gets mixed up, I always have both rifles or shotguns that I'm traveling with are on the piece of paper, and I've got 2 of them, one in each case. So I've never had an issue there, but very important that you have this when you come back to the United States. You do not need it to leave the United States. No one's going to check it. They're not going to ask for it in Canada when you get there. But when you come back and you clear customs and you get your rifle or your shotgun case and they open it up, the first thing they're going to ask for is this form, and then they're going to make sure that you actually left the United States with this form. All right, let's talk about Canada. So fairly popular destination to go. It's pretty easy with a couple things you just have to be aware of. The first is for flying into Canada, you're going to want a non-resident firearm declaration form. Now, the easiest thing to do is to go on the web, internet, print this out, fill it out. It's pretty simple. There are instructions that come with the form. If you should have any questions, have it all filled out. Again, very similar to what the U.S. Customs is going to do is when you land in Canada for the first time, you're going to have to collect your luggage. You'll claim your rifle. You'll take it over to the customs, and they will open up the rifle case. They're going to check this paperwork. You'll pay $25 once they verified the serial number on the paperwork, and the rifle or shotgun is the same. And then they will give you a copy of this back, and that's your rifle permit or shotgun permit while you're in Canada, and you need to keep that with your rifle or your shotgun at all times when you're in Canada. But pretty easy to do. Really have never had any issue. They just want the $25 in my opinion. For Canada, so Canada's a little different. So a couple things are big no-nos that are okay here in the United States. So first thing is no suppressors. So my travel rifle has a brake on it for the sole purpose of there are countries outside the United States that do not allow suppressors, and it's just easier for me. I don't have to re-zero my rifle if I can't take my suppressor. So again, no suppressors allowed in Canada, and no pistols either, or ARs. So these regulations change, but there are descriptions in the instructions for the declaration form on what are or are not restricted weapons in Canada. So you just need to be checked with that. But if you have a sporting arm, in most cases that's not going to be an issue. So bolt action rifles, semi-automatic shotguns, over and under shotguns, not an issue. Pistols are highly restricted. You could probably get a permit to get into Canada with a pistol. There is a way to do it, but ARs are banned and suppressors are banned. The next thing is the ammunition is a little different. The treatment of ammunition is a little different in Canada. So it needs to be in a factory box separate from your rifle or your shotgun. So it needs to go in your baggage. It doesn't have to be in a separate lockable case, but it does need to be in either a cardboard box or some kind of hard-sided case for all your ammo. Now, when you're coming back The two things you need to really make sure of, and again, this is when you're in Canada and you're checking your rifle or your shotgun in, is that you have no loose ammunition in your baggage at all. So if you carry a ammo holder on your belt, you need to make sure that that is empty and doesn't have any rounds in it left. And then on my rifle, I actually have a pouch on the side that has elastic loops on it, so you want to make sure that there's no ammo in there, because loose ammo they will confiscate, and it's a bit of a hassle. I ran into one trip years ago where I had a couple shotgun rounds that were left in a jacket, and RCMP had to come and confiscate it, and it was just a big pain. So take a few minutes, make sure that you don't have any loose ammo in your jacket or any holders, and put all your ammo, and you can actually, empty brass is fine. You can travel with that. Just make sure that it's in your luggage. The last thing isn't required in the United States or Canada, or at least I haven't run into it yet, but I do run into it overseas, so I think it's just worth a mention for best practice. But try not to carry loose batteries. So it's okay when you travel internationally, if this package was open and one of the batteries was in it, or you had I tend to use to carry them in a plastic bag, single batteries to reduce the weight, but they will not let you travel with loose batteries. So I tend to just carry a box of batteries, or keep them in the manufacturer's case like this, and you'll never have an issue. Again, I haven't run into that in Canada, but I do it everywhere now, just because I do run into it internationally, and you just never know who you're going to get to inspect your luggage, your equipment. So that's it. Pretty easy to travel, well, extremely easy to travel with firearms inside the United States. Outside of the United States into Canada, I would say extremely easy as well. Just need your paperwork and a little bit of mindfulness around loose ammo. But other than that, very simple. So again, we'll have a second video that covers the 3 popular international destinations, which are fairly simple, but a little more complicated on the paperwork side. And we'll bring that to you separately. But if you like this video, give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and we'll bring more informational videos like this to you. Until next time, good hunting.